Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at the deck with which Robin Schulz just went and won the Latin American International Championships. And the thing that is super weird to me, he didn't play more than one of any of his attackers. He did play 5 different attackers, but he literally played all of his attackers as a one-off in a deck with no Pokemon recovery. It seems a little bit weird, but it also opens up a lot of other space to do what you will. I also find it very interesting that he plays a lot of non-GX Pokemon, Jirachi, Ninetales, etc., and yet we don't have any good non-GX search. You can't play non-GXs. Don't tell anyone. Because apparently, right, you can play non-GXs, and we actually do have passable options. I'm not saying good, I'm saying passable. Now, it is a fire deck, I suppose, nominally built around Reshiram and Charizard. And as a really fun little side note, when we all started playing the game, we were told 20 Pokemon, 20 energy, 20 trainers. Well, we're actually very close here. We got 18 Pokemon, 18 energy, 24 trainers. So to start off with the Pokemon, we've got Reshiram and Charizard. Reshiram and Charizard is a big boy. What we see here is 4 energy, 230 damage, which is enough to KO a lot of stuff, basically any non-tag team. Tag teams, you're out of range. Anything else, you're pretty good. Of course, if you get enough energy on there, that is to say 6 fire energy, you do 300 and go through any effects on the defending Pokemon. That's how you KO a tag team GX. Put it that way. Now, we do have another tag team in the deck. It is Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff. Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff is new in Cosmic Eclipse, which was legal for the first time this weekend. And frankly, Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff is nuts good and will be played. We'll put it this way, right? It's going away when GXs go away. Until Pokemon V take over, expect to see this in a ridiculous amount of decks. For 3 colorless energy, it does 60 damage, plus 60 for each GX your opponent has in play. So if your opponent is playing Pikachu and Zekrom, for instance, and they've got 3 GXs on the field, which most of the time they will, 3 60s are 18, well, 180, add the 60 base is 240, and oh look, now you're getting a one-hit KO on Pikachu and Zekrom. Big Pokemon, big damage, very cool. We then see a copy of Heatran GX, and Heatran GX does what Heatran GX has been doing for a little while. It is a splashable 2-prize Pokemon, the only 2-prize attacker we've got in the deck. And it's got an ability whereby when you switch it into the active, you may move any number of fire energy from your other Pokemon to it. You can then do 130 for free energy, really good for taking out non-GXs, or for 1 fire energy minimum, you do 50 damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. So what you could do is pile energy on here, and for instance 5 energy would KO Pikachu and Zekrom, rather than needing 6 energy on a Reshiram and Charizard. Plus it only gives up 2 prizes. We've then got 1 Turtonator, and Turtonator here is just our de facto non-GX attacker. It is our single prize attacker. For 3 fire energy, it does 50 damage for each fire energy discarded from all of your Pokemon. So put 3 energy on Turtonator, discard them all 150, but you could put your energy onto your other Pokemon and then discard them to do a little bit of extra damage. And then we have Victini. Now, Victini is a single prize attacker, but it's not an every turn whenever you feel like it single prize attacker like Turtonator. You see, Victini Prism Star for 2 fire energy does 20 damage for each basic energy in your discard pile, and then you shuffle those energy back into your deck. So you can't just turn 1, get 2 energy on a Victini and start smashing. You need to have your energy in your discard. As a single prize attacker, it's phenomenal. You're playing 18 energy, so you can potentially have 16 energy in the discard, 2 attached to Victini, and be hitting 320. You'd never need to, but technically possible. But it's not an every turn attack. It is a one big shot at the right time during the game. Because remember, you then shuffle all the energy back in. So it really is one shot at the right time. And then we got a whole bunch of consistency in the form of 4 Jirachi and 3 Dedenne. Dedenne lets you discard your hand and draw 6 cards, though it is limited to once per turn. And Jirachi lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a trainer card, put it into your hand, and then it goes to sleep. But we do have a skateboard, which will both lower your retreat cost from 1 to 0, because it reduces it by 1, and let you retreat while asleep, so you're fine in terms of that. And between the 3 Dedenne, 4 Jirachi, you're just rolling, you are off. That gives you the consistency you need. We then have a 2-2 line of Ninetales. Ninetales is one of the reasons that we see these fire decks doing so well at the moment. Because you can discard 2 fire energy from your hand and then just switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. Any of their bench, just switch it. Most decks at the moment are either playing Custom Catcher, where you've got to play 2 at once, or, we've now got Cosmic Eclipse, so we can switch to Great Catcher, but the problem with Great Catcher is it only grabs a GX. Again, it's discard 2 cards from your hand, and it's any cards, not just fire energy, so if you're gusting a GX, arguably Great Catcher is better, but Ninetales is every turn, and it's any Pokemon, which just gives fire decks a huge advantage. Now, we're then playing 1 Ditto Prism Star. We're only allowed to play 1, it's a Prism Star. And that does give you a 3rd Vulpix that can be evolved into Ninetales. But it also lets you play Zebstrika. Just 1 copy, and there's no Blitzel here, so if your Ditto gets KO'd or your Ditto is prized, no Zebstrika. But once during your turn, it lets you discard your hand and draw 4 cards. And that really seems to be the secret of the deck here. You've got 3 Dedenne, 4 Jirachi, and Zebstrika. And what we see here is a lot of consistency through Pokemon. Sure, your opponent can play a Power Plant to turn off your GX abilities, but they're just not turning off Jirachi. They're not turning off Ninetales, and that gives you a huge advantage. Because if we flick to look at the trainers, the Pokemon search options we've got aren't good. Now, the good news is we can play 4 Cherish Ball, and when you're searching out your GXs, that's great. But it won't get your Jirachi, and it won't get your Ninetales line. So the only thing we've got here is Pokemon communication. And the book on this format, since we rotated, and I've said it myself, it is extremely difficult to actually search out your non-GXs. But what this deck does so gosh darned well is it's got all the options for Pokemon Draw, and even though you can't search out your Pokemon very easily, you're drawing lots of cards, so you should either draw the Pokemon you need, or you draw another Pokemon plus Pokemon Communication. Bearing in mind you're playing 18 Pokemon, so Pokemon Communication will work moderately often. Looking at the rest of the trainers, obviously we're playing 4 Welder. 4 Welder is absolutely crucial. You can attach 2 energy from your hand to fire energy, but that's all you play, to one of your Pokemon and then draw 3 cards. It is absolutely huge. It is the main reason why fire decks are so gosh darn good at the moment. We like Ninetales, but Welder really is the key to victory. Speaking of fire, we're also playing 3 copies of Giant Hearth, really nice for searching out your fire energy. And we play 1 copy of Heat Factory Prism Star, again it's a Prism Star so we're limited to 1. Discard a fire energy from your hand, draw 3 cards, it's more draw. And if you can't search out what you need easily, then drawing cards is good, and that's what this deck does so nicely. Now, we also see a full 4 copies of Switch, and that makes sense in this deck. What we're not doing here is playing 4 copies of 1 attacker and rolling with that attacker. We are playing 1 copy each of 5 attackers and just going, look, I'm going to switch my strategy up depending on the matchup. Now, bearing in mind Robin did win the World Championships in 2018, he is, without any argument or question, one of the very best players in the entire world, which is one of the reasons he does so well playing slightly weirder builds like this, where you really are picking your strategy on the fly, but Force Switch really help you out there. We've then got 2 copies of a skateboard, as I've said, crucial for Jirachi, 1 copy of Fiery Flint to search your energy out of the deck, discard 2 cards from your hand, which is 1 more than Giant Half, but you get to search for 4 energy rather than 2, double the discard, double the search. It's like using Giant Half twice at once. I'll go along with that. And then 1 copy of Pal Pad just to get your supporter cards back into your deck. You're only playing Welder. Like, literally, your only supporter in the deck is Welder, so being able to grab it back out is big. It's a strange list in that you're only playing 1 supporter, and you're only playing 1 copy of your 5 different attackers, but this is the way that Reshiram and Charizard decks have been heading, especially with the 4 Welder, and frankly, if you've got the foresight and the skill to play a deck like this, where you can switch around attackers on the fly, this is a rather phenomenal deck indeed. Congratulations to Robin for winning the Latin American International Championships with a list which is clearly a very good list and tailor-made for a player like Robin. But I'd like to know what you think about this list, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.